Hi there, and welcome to Tex-Mex demonstration of Happy Voyager 2. In this video, we'll demonstrate the cap sewing system and how it's set up. It's very easy. The first thing we'll do is start with this machine in standard mode here, where it's got the regular sewing arm, which is used to sew conventional items like shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, pant legs, and the like. So we remove that first by removing these two thumb screws that you see attached here. And once the thumb screws are removed, that opens up the area here to put in place the device that will hold the cap hoop and the cap in place and sew in really nice quality. So we'll remove that sewing arm, and you can see that that was connected to the machine by this little block here where the two thumb screws mate. And in the optional cap kit for sewing for Voyager 2, what you have here is this is what's called the driver, and you can see it has the same horizontal bar that the regular sewing arm has, and also the same kind of block here that has the same two holes for these two thumb screws. So to install this, we first just kind of slide this over the arm in the same place that it was. And we'll just move that to mate up to that same spot called the pantograph here, and we'll reinstall the thumb screws here. So we'll get those started. And then once properly installed, they'll spin themselves very nicely right onto the pantograph here. What we'll do is just get them snug, and the driver itself has two additional stabilization screws here that hold it to the bottom. So once these are tightened by hand, that's all enough to hold the driver in place and very stably to sew very high quality caps. So once hand tightened, we're pretty much ready to go. And before we turn on the machine, what we'll do is a quick check. Just move the machine through the left, right, and up and down motion here just to make sure everything moves nicely, which it does. Next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and power on the machine, and it's getting ready and detecting and setting itself up automatically. So while it's doing that, we'll go ahead and get started to the next stage of this, where what we're going to do is we're going to use this device here that you're seeing at the bottom of your screen to mount the cap onto the hoop. So this is Voyager's optional wide cap hoop, which allows for a wide continuous sewing area of 11.4 inches by 2.5 inches, which is a nice area that allows for simultaneous sewing on the front and the sides of the hat itself. So what you see me doing here is that I've mounted it on what's called the stretcher, which basically just holds that in place while I'm placing our ball cap. And what you're seeing is a standard ball cap, about medium profile here to low profile, very popular type. And what we'll do is open up this strap here and slide the cap on. And before we do that, we'll get a piece of stabilizer here, and tearaway's more than enough, which is real easy to remove once we're done. We'll slide this onto this little tab here, and this is going to sit just like a regular sewing items here underneath the material. So we'll go and slide the cap over that stabilizer material. And what's very convenient here is we've got a centering tab here, and as long as we center the cap over that tab, we can be confident that our embroidery will be centered nicely on the cap itself. And here's where the stretcher comes in. The barrel shape of the stretcher, if we flatten the material against it, gives us a perfect amount of tension on that fabric, so it's not too loose but not too tight as it's sewing on the machine. So holding that in place, we just bring the strap around. And there's a nice little buckle clasp here on the right side of the cap that it catches on. Before I tighten it down, I just make sure there aren't any wrinkles, everything's nice and straight. I'm going to close that, and it snaps neatly in place. Now I can hinge the stretcher up, and you can actually see the back of the cap here itself. And there are two little posts that hold up the sides of the material. And what we do is just pop these little clips on. Make sure that keeps the material nice and straight, so it helps ensure that as nice as the embroidery as we have on the front of the cap, we'll also have just as nice alignment, registration, and quality, sewing quality on the sides of the cap as well. This cap's ready to go, and you can see that as we've done this, the machine's all booted up and ready to start. You'll see here on the right side of the screen, as it's properly detected the cap driver, that it's in cap mode. So we'll go ahead and hit the next button here, which takes us in to start up. It's doing a self-test, and what's different is with the cap driver, it's testing only within the sewable area. It also does a couple other things automatically. It flips the design upside down, as when you put the cap onto the machine itself, you can see it's kind of upside down, so it's orienting itself to the cap. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put it on the machine, just rotate the bill off to the side, slide it on, and just pop it onto the 3 clamps that hold the cap hoop securely in place. You can see that's real nice and exact here, it won't come loose. Now going back to the screen, what we'll do is we've got a nice cap design that's loaded in that takes advantage of this wide sewing area, having a front design and 2 sides. And what we want to do is just check the fit of the design by going to our hoop screen here that shows a map of the usable sewing area, and inside of that the outline of the design itself. We can hit a button to auto center that. You can see the machine move just a little bit to perfectly center. And then if we want to from there, we can use these arrow keys to actually adjust the position to further fine tune it. In this case, I'm moving it even closer to the bill, which Voyager allows up to a ½ inch off of the bottom seam of the bill, which is pretty close, giving the machine a nice advantage for you when you're doing professional ball cap sewing with Voyager 2. That said, we'll do a trace, and you'll see that the machine will actually move when we hit play the cap throughout the edges of the design, so you can see exactly where it's going to fall. And see how far over that actually moves on the cap, so you can see how far over the right and left sides we can go all in one hooping. So that's looking pretty good. It's fitting. If it didn't fit, it would actually stop, alarm us, and warn us that it doesn't fit. It'll tell us if it's too tall or too wide. But in this case, that's a perfect fit. So we'll just go ahead and escape back out to the home screen, and we're ready to sew. Simply hit start, green start button, and we're doing ball cap sewing with Happy Voyager 2.